really old friend, Saad Arshad, on the show. He is guru of all hats. He has multiple talents in digital marketing. Mainly, what we're going to focus in this podcast is how different trends in digital marketing has influenced its influences on different businesses and different industries. So Saad here is going to give a little introduction about himself, what he's up to, what are his goals, and what he is mainly focusing on. And then later on, we're going to talk about how different trends are going to work. So Saad, over to you. Just a little brief background, what you're up to, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then move forward.
Hi, Shabazz. First of all, thank you for having me on this show. A little bit about me. My name is Saad Arshad, and I've been associated with this field, digital marketing, for almost 4 years now. And nowadays, what I'm focusing on is how the changes in different platforms that we are observing, because I am more of a guy who works on the organic side of digital marketing rather than on paid ads. So I these trends and algorithms, I watch them really closely, and that's what we're primarily going to discuss in this field. And my motivation, I'd say, in digital marketing would be that I studied it in university. I had the chance of doing multiple internships in this field. So this is what sort of developed my interest in this field. And obviously, nowadays everything is going digital, so the requirement of digital marketing has, increased. So this is what has been contributing in my interest and motivation for digital marketing. And I'd like to keep this conversation simple so that people can understand and how they can maximize the output from organic social media reach.
So Saad, you mentioned that you came into this field through your education, through your university studies, right? So how would you endorse someone who is really new to this field and he wants to pursue his career, especially a student who is a fresh graduate or who himself or herself got into first time into the university? How would you communicate this message to them?
Okay, so the first thing is digital marketing uh, is as a field, it's pretty vast. So what I'd say is start out with by watching YouTube videos on digital marketing and see which area interests you the most. For example, it could be Facebook ads, it could be Google ads, it could be content creation, it could be SEO, it could be email marketing. But ultimately, you'll have to, have good knowledge and grip on these skills, because this is called omni-channel marketing, and these go hand in hand. Obviously, watching these videos and learning about this won't be enough unless you're practically applying it. So maybe you can start off with your own social media
Saad,
account.
just one question. You mentioned that
Yeah,
you have been working on omni-channel marketing, right? And many people
yeah.
get confused. What is omni-channel marketing and is it the part of digital marketing?
Yeah, omni-channel marketing means that marketing through different platforms. So, for example, if you own this business, you're not only running Facebook ads, you are doing SEO, you are doing organic marketing, you're doing content creation. So, omni-channel marketing is maximizing all the platforms that you have, because the chances are that you won't get the best results for one platform, but if you get even average results from all platforms, the overall result would be very good. So that is a brief introduction of omni-channel marketing.
So do you think it still works with digital marketing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I strongly believe that relying on one platform is not a good approach. For example, you're posting content only on Instagram. What happens? Let's say one day your Instagram gets banned, you don't have any backup. So the backup would be you also post that content on TikTok, maybe on LinkedIn. So you have like presence on multiple social media platforms. And then again, if you're generating leads only from Google Ads, you should be doing that the same thing for Facebook ads as well, because you don't know, maybe some new policy rolls out and you're all over the place. So I think doing everything side by side keeps you in a very, very good place, even when things go bad.
Interesting, Saad. I mean, many people were still getting confused about what is omnichannel marketing and what is digital marketing. Saad, we are talking about, different trends in digital marketing that has influenced because the different social media activities are in the play. So what are your insights on this? I mean, your go-to platform that you always prefer to use at any time, any place?
Okay. So since 2021 and coming into 2022, which is obviously surprisingly 10 months have passed. So TikTok has sort of changed how we use social media because now people prefer short form content, 10 to 20-second video, right? So as you would see that now every platform has rolled out short form content. YouTube has introduced YouTube Shorts. Instagram has introduced Instagram Reels. So the number one would be creating short form content. But having said that, it doesn't work for every business. Every business that has different target audience on different platforms. For example, I was working with a client who has a text agency. Now his audience won't be on TikTok or Instagram. He has to use LinkedIn and Facebook. So here you have to adapt accordingly. In terms of platform that I prefer, personally, I prefer LinkedIn because I think that people solely use it for professional purposes and they're out there looking for something that might benefit them, not just random scrolling. Some people do that, but that's an exception. And the organic reach of LinkedIn is obviously very good nowadays. And I've personally grown my LinkedIn from 1,000 to 4,000 followers in the past 3 months. So I know I've seen the process how to grow LinkedIn. And in terms of other platforms, obviously, depending on your interest, your target market, what you do, Instagram is the best, I think, specifically Instagram Reels and carousel posts. Now, carousel post is basically not adding one images, but adding at least 5 images. The reason is that the how the algorithm works is, for example, you post one image about, let's say, blockchain, updates in blockchain in 2022. But if you divide that in 5 slides, your audience will stay longer than usual on that post. So now the algorithm detects that, okay, so this XYZ guy, he came over to this page, he stayed here for, let's say, more than 15 seconds. In future, the targeting would be better and he would be able to see similar posts. Instead, if he would have seen only one photo that was, and his attention span was like 3 seconds, he won't be retargeted. So this is how the changes have worked. And then obviously the reels have and one pro tip here would be, whenever any platform introduces a new feature, you just have to dive right in because they are at the point of testing it. When they are at the point of testing it, the reach would be enormous. Okay, because obviously they don't want to hold back, they want to see the results, they are sort of gathering data. So in order to maximize your chances, you have to like make sure that, for example, when Instagram introduced reels, the people who posted reels earlier leveraged it and they built their account from there. So for example, if Instagram, let's say, introduces any other feature in the near future, what you have to do is you have to try it as soon as it's rolled out in order to maximize the benefits. And then in terms of reels, uh, your content, if you're posting carousel, you should be also posting reels, but you have to keep in mind that the attention span of the people is very low these days. So you have the hook, what we call, it should be within the first 1 or 2 seconds in order to make them stay longer so that they can watch the whole video. And the last thing would be obviously searching on trending content, trending music in order to maximize your reach.
Great, that's really interesting, Saad. You mentioned that how reels are really encouraging people and how carousel posts are, influencing more time bound on different posts. For instance, if there's a new business who started their own venture, let's suppose it's a cosmetic product company. So many people are still getting into it, that how reels are gonna get into it, yet they're not getting any traffic. So what would your focus be? Either you should telling people that they should focus on the quality of the content, the hook statement, or they should just go with the flow.
Okay, so let's talk about the cosmetic industry that you mentioned. I think the best way of like kickstarting your marketing would be working with influencers, right? And there are a bunch of influencers now in Pakistan. You can start off with micro influencers that have less than 10,000 followers, and followers don't matter, engagement does matter. And they have engagement, let's say, more than 10%. Okay. So you reach out to them, probably they'll collaborate with you rather than charging upfront money. And obviously they have a good audience. So what you can do is request them that they make a small reel about you send over the product, just make a small reel, and you can use that they would most probably they'll be posting that reel, and you can post that reel on your account. Two benefits: one, they already have an audience, so they will gain, it will get traffic. Two, when someone sees a popular figure, even a micro influencer, on your page, it would, create a sense of credibility that this page, this business is authentic and we can trust them. So this is a good way to start. Then obviously your content should be, I think, informative and educational. Your post shouldn't be too salesy. Like, you should be selling not your product but the benefits of the product. For example, in cosmetics, if you're, let's say, selling a product that fixes dark circles, your focus should be on why dark circles are bad, and how easy it is, if you think, is to fix them, rather than telling the features of your product. So because nowadays I think consumers are very well aware, so your marketing should be, well researched, and it should not to be it shouldn't be too salesy.
But many people are still focusing on just to increase their leads rather than to increase their brand awareness, right? So is there any role of how different social media platforms work on those? I mean, any specific platform that really helps to gain specific leads?
In terms of leads, I'd say most people don't use social media platforms for leads, because it's a slow process. Let's admit that it takes, at least like 2 months to sort of build the architecture of your social media platforms and to start getting followers. It's a slow process, definitely. And many people run out of patience. They post content regularly for, let's say, 3 months, and they don't see any, engagement. They don't see any people, reaching out to them, leads, etc.
Exactly.
There's
No
they
conversions.
sort of yeah they sort of quit it, and if they have hired a marketing agency, they would say that we wasted our money. But in hindsight, they didn't. It's just that building something organically from scratch is, it's a very hard job, and it takes I'd say, what the clients that I've worked in the past, I've given them at least 6 months time, that this will what I require in order to build your page and take it to the level where we can create a good brand, and people can automatically come to you, and you can generate leads. And again, the pro tip here would be working with influencers. I think it's the best shot. And it's budget friendly, because there are different categories of influencers, but influencers should be relevant. If you're working in the cosmetic industry, your target influencer should be fashion and lifestyle influencers, not some sports celebrity could be, but in the future, but not someone who creates, who is a teacher or something like that. The audience has to be relevant. And the second would be collaborating with other startups for giveaways. I think that's a very good start, because obviously your audience will overlap, they'll see your pages and things like that. But this it's not just one time thing, you have to do it regularly, monthly. If you're starting out with influencers, at least five influencers a week, or 10 to 15 a month, then do this for 6 months. The advantage would be you'll have a ton of content, and mm, chances are you'll get good traffic, because you will be present on the social media accounts of different influencers. But again, you have to be patient. If it doesn't work out, change your strategy. uh, not every platform is built for every business, I believe. And if your target audience is not on Instagram, and you're just creating Instagram content, then it's pointless.
Exactly.
So the research part is very important.
Saad, before we called you on the show, we ran a survey of some questions, and we had some questions, and I thought we should, bring those questions to you, as it's more related to this one.
Sure,
So the first
sure.
question that we got one was, okay, let's suppose if there's someone who is trying to create their own content. They are not any company. They are, they just want to be an influencer. Either on, working in Pakistan, there's TikTok, there's Link, there's Instagram, then there's this snack video. So according to your stats and your insights and your skill sets, where would you tell them to start? I mean, if they're just simple content creators.
I'll tell them to start because I've tried content creation like 3 to 4 years ago, and I was all over the place because I didn't have any end goal in mind, right?
Mhm.
Now I've sort of, I won't say I'm a content creator, but every now and then I like to post content on LinkedIn that I feel would be beneficial. So the tip here from my, I'd say, lessons from my failures would be to sort of really recognize what you like. For example, if you like cooking, you can create content on cooking. If you like, sports, you can create content on sports. But the key here is really to identify your interest. It's not like, but the motivational speakers say identify your passion at doing it. Yeah, I think everyone has multiple interests, and they can sort of create content around it. And obviously then your content doesn't have to be start with, fancy cameras, fancy lights.
Mhm.
You can simply record content on your phone. The key here is if you enjoy making it and you see people are enjoying it as well, then you can sort of scale it up from there.
Scale it up. Exactly. And then another question is that if someone wants to pursue it as a full-time career, rather than sitting 9 to 5, but to create their own content, which one would you prefer them to work on?
I think that's a very, it varies from person to person. Like I have seen content creators that personally I know, like Irfan Junejo, he used to do freelancing and then he started content creation, and he went to a point where he felt that content creation is better and he can scale it up. So again, my answer would be, just try out different things, try out different content, and then scale it up from there. Focus more on video content rather than image content. Personal branding is on the rise.
Mhm.
And then how your audience behaves, how getting feedback from people, you can always optimize your content. And then obviously you can, when you reach a point where you feel that this is you want to pursue full time, then do that. But obviously I don't think I'm the best person in this position to answer because I myself am not at that stage at the moment, but this is what I've seen how other people have done.
Great. And the final question, Saad, is that what would you, technically advise people on working on which kind of platform you should recommend them? I mean, there are tons of platforms, tons of businesses, but working in different industries. Where would you recommend them to start from, apart from LinkedIn?
Apart from learning, okay. What I'd say, like I mentioned omni-channel and everything, but what one thing I forgot to mention is whenever you start off, start with one platform and focus on its growth rather than, because might have heard, if you're doing, like, do one thing perfectly rather than doing four things average. So, for example, if you're starting out on Instagram, solely focus on Instagram. And once you feel like your Instagram has grown to a certain followers, then diversify. The benefit here would be that you'll easily get your audience on the other platform as well, rather than building that platform from scratch. And starting out on platforms, I think that it solely depends on what sort of content you're creating. If you're creating content for just for entertainment, then start off with TikTok. If you are, you want to start blogging or something like that, content around lifestyle and fashion, start off with Instagram. But do your research, identify the trends, identify the algorithm. If you want to make tutorials, educational content, or podcast, obviously move to YouTube. So the content here is subjective, and a tip here would be some people that do really well is uh, they start podcast on YouTube and then they mm, crop out 4 to 5 clips from that podcast. They post it on Instagram and they post it on YouTube Shorts. But what I'd say is my tip here would be focus on one platform, make it grow, and then gradually diversify to other platforms.
Great, that's pretty much interesting, Saad. I think what's if someone, let's suppose they want to reach out to you, right? If they want to get, one-on-one counseling or get one-on-one advices from you, where would they would reach out to you most easily without any, pain points or anything?
I think LinkedIn is the best platform for me to reach out to me, and so Instagram is as well. But I like to keep Instagram just for sort of for casual content that I create around my friends or family. LinkedIn is something that I use professionally, and I'm happy to offer any help that I can to anyone who is looking for some help.
Great. Okay, so we are almost around the needle. And guys, this was Saad. He is easily reachable on LinkedIn. You can reach out to him. He has a wide skill sets in photography and marketing side of it. You can also utilize his skill set on that part as well. Saad has been a really good friend to me for a really long time now. And Saad, would you like to add anything else? Anything else that you think audience should know before they dive into the digital marketing and use of social media?
I think what I always emphasize on is do your research and try things out practically rather than, lots of people say that email marketing doesn't work, but they haven't tried it out at all. It works. It works when you have good leads and you're running it simultaneously with other marketing platforms. So my advice would be your focus should be on research as well as trying out things practically, because then you'll have a good idea of how these things work and where your interest lies.
Great, that's really impressive, Saad. Thank you so much, first of all, taking out your time and diving into the show. And I think many people are gonna watch this podcast, which we send out every month in our newsletter, in our monthly newsletter,
Yes.
and they might gonna reach out to you for some of the questions or so. And till then, guys, this was Saad
Yeah, thank you so much for
from
having me.
Solutions.
I
Yeah,
had a great
exactly.
time.
Indeed, Saad. We're looking forward to another podcast sessions with you and trying to grow the